Not surprisingly, China and Central and Eastern Europe are seen as the two great growth markets going forward. China has been on this large upward curve. We're estimating that retail sales in '07 reached nearly $1.5 billion. Some estimates are higher, some are lower. We're comfortable with that. It's being spurred by the growth of a consumer market there, the growth of a middle class. The business has spread from the Tier 1 cities out to Tier 2 and Tier 3 as major multinational retailers and local retailers, major retailers have grown. There's a good, solid distribution system in place. And obviously the Beijing Olympics, the advent of the Beijing Olympics, is spurring both the sports sector, but also a lot of brands are using it as an introduction to China. So that's definitely going on. Central and Eastern Europe is starting from a much lower base. We're estimating it at about $320, $350 million this year, in '07, excuse me. And again, some of those same forces are at work. But in addition to the growth of the consuming class, you also have the fact that several of the countries are now members of the EU. And everything that brings with it in terms of trade across borders and licensors from outside Central and Eastern Europe going in, and from inside starting to export elsewhere into Europe. Also, the major multinational retailers have hit full force. In some countries more than others. Poland, for example, has a very, very large hypermarket base from some of the major Europeans. One thing to note is that Walmart earlier this year said they've now appointed a president, I believe the title is, for Russia. And so they are looking very, very much at the region and seeing how they'd be able to play there. That said, Walmart doesn't succeed every place they've gone. They bombed out in Germany. They didn't do well in Korea and left there. So just the fact that Walmart is coming doesn't mean that everybody should be quaking in their boots. They have a lot to learn like everybody else. The other growth market that a lot of people have focused on is India. And it's not developing, I think, as fast as a lot of people had expected or hoped. Partly it's for political reasons. One of the differences between India and China is that India is a democracy, and there's a lot of political power that is held by the small retailers. And so there's still government regulations against multinationals owning chains and being able to open their stores in India as they have in China. So what you haven't seen, so there isn't the distribution and transportation infrastructure in India, so that is taking much longer to develop. Jordan Solito of Warner Brothers said a really good thing. He said anybody who doesn't go into India with a 10-year plan, not a 5-year plan, but a 10-year plan, is fooling themselves and is being naive. So India is one of these growth markets for the future, but the future is a little farther out than it is elsewhere. Another factor just in the overall international business is those multinational retailers, people like Carrefour, Tesco, Walmart, Toys R Us. You're also getting a lot more with the apparel chains. Zara, H&M, in Europe, Topshop. These are all expanding out across continents and among continents. And you know, that's something to watch as more of the specialty retailers do the same thing that the hypermarket and warehouse club types have done. Direct-to-retail licensing is becoming much more a factor in the international marketplace, led by our friends at Disney and also companies like Cherokee, which I believe has deals now on 5 continents. Direct-to-retail for the Cherokee or for the Side-Out brand. You also have Iconics, which just set up a joint venture called Iconics China. So direct-to-retail is becoming much more of a factor internationally. The other thing to note is how much the internet has changed the game in terms of international licensing. It's harder and harder to have an organized rollout of a property, be it entertainment, be it a brand, you know, staging it from country to country, from continent to continent. As somebody said, you you know, we wanted to do this TV show in a very organized way and roll it out into Europe, but all the kids have seen it already on the net. So there is that visibility. It's a good news, bad news. Good news is the visibility of the property is building. The bad news is you've lost some control. And some of the things where you think, where in the past you might have started with a clean slate and be able to do things in an orderly manner, it's a little less orderly now. So that's something that is a game changer.